Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another live stream of Hearthstone. Today is Monday, November 13th, which oddly, I should, for 13 days now, I've been putting out like a bunch of spotlights on my channel, but I don't think I actually scheduled them that way. I think we're going to find, starting today with the grid spotlight, might be the beginning of just every weekday is going to be a little bit different. I also am in a little bit of a weird position because I need to watch and learn, and nobody is on the European server. So if somebody wants to hop on the European server and try and win for watch and learn, that'd be very helpful. It's not even late enough, being only 5:56 Central Time. It's not late enough in the European server to allow me to trade something out. But if I can't get, say, these 2 victories with the druid and 2 victories with the hunter, or 2 victories with the priest, or 2 victories with the warlock, then I'm gonna have to trade out the watch and learn. I really don't even want to do these 2. I'd prefer if these were 60s instead of 40s, but whatever. We need to move forward and we need to play, so we'll start with the hunter. Just some ranked play on hunter. On standard, hit play and see if we can get 2 victories. Maybe we can get really quick 2 victories. There is one political thing that I just saw, but I don't have too much to say about it because I just saw the title. The European Union apparently has agreed to combine all of their armies together to form a super army and get away from dependence of the United States, which, you know, in a lot of ways is for the United States a good thing, I would imagine. It's exactly what Donald Trump wanted, and a lot of people in the Americas did, but it is also exactly part of what I think Brexit was about, is that even before Trump was elected, the European Union was trying to form this army that was directly under control of the European Union and would eventually just inherently be the stick that is used to force one country to do things it doesn't want to do, particularly take in refugees, was one of the major issues. And so now that the European Union has that army, it could very well be that somebody says we're going to war with this country, and people from countries that really don't want to support that war still end up having to sending troops to it. This is also kind of what started World War I. Is that everybody had all of these alliances that said, if you attack my friend, I'll defend them, and it just became this domino chain of one person got attacked in the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand, and because of that, 2 very small countries went to war that then brought in several. Pretty much the rest of the world. And it's just not a good way to run your country, in my opinion. I think every single time any conflict occurs, the people in charge of each individual sovereign country, they should think about, do they want to be involved in this conflict? It should be voted on, and it should be the will of the people being represented by the leaders, not the will of some warmongers or some company that stands to benefit from it. The United States clearly, in getting into Iraq, was not doing the will of the people, or at the very least the US Congress has been unwilling to do their job and declare war for a very long time, to imply or show that Congress has endorsed or allowed war to happen. But none of that has anything to do with video games. We shall see what this new European Union army means for the world, if it means anything at all. But it's been a long time coming. They've been working towards it. Effectively, since the European Union is run out of Germany, Germany has now the largest army, I would say, probably ever. Video game news, though. Nintendo says it can see the possibility of a future mobile push in China. So, yeah, Nintendo is sticking its toe in releasing mobile games, and particularly releasing mobile games in China. But it's not going to succeed without partnering up with one of the Chinese companies because, well, first of all, Nintendo's gonna have to make games that appeal to the Chinese market and appeal to the Chinese government and their censorship. And in a lot of ways, it's probably not even worth it for them to try, because I've seen it happen so many times when people try to break into China and it just won't work. There's too much complexity, too much government interference. I'm okay for a little bit of government regulation and interference, but then there's government regulation and interference, and then there is Chinese government regulation and interference that is designed to benefit what the government wants to succeed and not benefit anybody else. I'm playing for victories here, I have to remind myself. Let's see. The game Azure Striker Gunvolt Striker Pack for Switch has a physical edition that's launching November 21st in North America and December 1st in Europe. Let's see. The pack, which is already available in the Nintendo eShop, contains both Azure Striker Gunvolt and the Azure Strike Gunvolt 2 for the release for the 3DS. So it's just an improvement. It's moving a 3DS game over to the Switch, which we'll probably see a lot of that happening. Let's see. Includes 60 frames per second gameplay and the entire catalog of downloadable content from the 3DS version, HD Rumble support, and more. Like, the thing I want to know more about is the game itself. I'm just seeing a picture. Is it a brawler? It looks like it is a brawler, maybe with some bullet hell shooting elements, but it seems like it's mostly a brawler. Alright, like, that looks like something I might be interested in playing at some point in the future. Like, so many of these Japanese games, if they come over the PC, I'll play them, but I have this lovely little filtering system of if they come to PC, because this is just coming to the Switch, and like, so it seems, at least from what I can see, there is no Gunvolt series or anything. Oh, well, this game at least is not on PC, and so I don't have to worry about it. Let's see if I could just get this guy to survive next turn, play this, and do this. I'll win. The game Paradise Cruise and Mix has launched early. No, it does launch early in 2018 in the West. And what kind of game is this? Looks a little old school cartoony. It looks more like an 80s anime than a modern anime. It will launch on PlayStation 4 and PC in the West early 2000, Tagashi Games announced. And it'll be on Steam.
Out of my jungle.
And it has some DLC. And then let's visit the gallery and see what these pictures are of. Is it a bullet hell shooter with just side art on it? I think it is actually a bullet hell shooter with some interesting side art. But it seems like you might be flying through a arcade, shooting arcade toys. Interesting. Interesting twist to do there. Thank you for the victory.
That's incredible.
So that's one victory. And then that is a great example of why you should hold back until you have that lethal kill. I don't do it enough, but it's something I should do. Let's just keep going through the news. I think we may just end early today, and I may get the rest of this on a post show that later. Dead Cells has gotten even tougher with the brutality update. Dead Cells, I believe, is still in early access, so they really shouldn't be talking about it, but eventually, maybe when it's a finalized product, it'll be a good game. It looks like it's a good game now, but I need to see the final product first. Brawlhalla's advice, executive producer, gives advice on community building. This is a Game of Sutra article. Have a mostly finished product before going on early access. Good advice. Good advice. I'm gonna hold on to that one and instead do this. When updating core mechanics, move slowly and methodically. Just do it. And those are the 3 titles to 3 short paragraphs that he gave of advice. I would certainly throw in also be real. Don't sit there and try to BS people and expect people to really buy it. It's not gonna work. Be authentic, be unique, be creative, have a good game, have an interesting game, have a game that makes people want to come back to it. There's a lot of games that I've played in particular where it's just not interesting to go back to it. I'll play it once and have fun with it, but there's so many where even if I didn't have a bunch of other games to play, even if I only had like 5 games to play, there's like no desire to go back and play the second time. And a lot of those are very linear single player story based games, but you really don't need a community for a very linear single player game either, do you? You only need a community if you're doing a multiplayer game, which is not my forte. Let's see. Here's a PC Gamer article about how the Star Wars Battlefront 2's loot box systems work. So if you need in detail a description on how that broken system works, I guess you can have that. Let's see, deal 3 damage, do a cat trick. Let's do a cat trick, and let's do this. Again, this is one of those articles that doesn't matter to me because I don't ever plan on playing Battlefront 2. It seems like the system is pretty bad. When I saw Giant Bomb do a quick look on it several weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, it didn't look like a good system even then. The Witcher 1 has been remade in The Witcher 3. No, wait, The Witcher 1's opening hour looks remade in The Witcher 3. So, the prologue to The Witcher 1 gameplay has been fan remade on The Witcher 1. Destroy all enemy secrets. Like, I don't know what you really get from that, though. Like, I suppose what they're doing is the idea. Yeah, this is like an hour of gameplay. The idea is that you could use the Witcher 3 engine to remake Witcher 1, which is a pretty old game, and then maybe re-release a remake of that as this kind of re-release game. Honestly, it makes sense that CD Projekt Red would do something like that, but I don't think this is a fan group that's doing it. So CD Projekt Red needs to instead hire these people to remake Witcher 1 and release it, while their real employees are focusing on the concept of... Yep, I played that when I shouldn't have. Let's see, we'll change that to 1.
Job's done.
They should be focusing, CD Projekt Red's real team should be focusing on making Cyberpunk 2077. Because that game is like heavily not in development right now, Cyberpunk 2077, and it's not coming out in the next 3 years, I would guess. So sneaking in a remaster of Witcher 1 is a good idea, and even beginning development of remastering and improving Witcher 2 wouldn't be a terrible idea. They did come out and say that they specifically will make a new Witcher game, but they're not interested they're not interested in calling it Witcher 4, which is fair enough, because I don't think you can have Geralt in the game. I think you have to introduce a new character who is going to be known as a Witcher. Let's see.
Run away.
Like I said before, Deadpool seems to be on Steam again, so if you ever want to play the Deadpool game, which isn't a terrible game, I would say probably buy it. It's going for about £9 right now. Deadpool, it was very weird that game disappeared, because the Deadpool movie would have worked nicely with it, and it was pulled like very early, very near that time. Let's see if I do 6 here. Let's do this. Actually, that works just fine. And we'll do this. And we'll do this. And we'll do that. And we'll end the turn. So that's yet another thing that's going to ruin my budget. Man, I really needed to be saving up money for video games this entire year just for the last 3 months. And inherently, in the United States particularly, that's the problem, is that there's a ton of extra spending that is encouraged or that needs to happen from Black Friday to the New Year, and people just run up credit cards and then spend the other 9-10 months out of the year and paying off those credit cards, and nobody gets anywhere, nobody saves any extra money, and it's just way too much spending in general, but way too much spending at the same time. So that's one of them. And I guess we could see if we could friend somebody. Add last person we saw. There we go. I suppose that might work. And while we're doing that, we'll play Priest or Warlock. Let's see. I'll play Warlock, but that's not going to work too well. There's a RPG-vania game called Super Daryl Deluxe that's been announced for PS4 and PlayStation, due out in April 2018. And this image they're showing is a little unique. It's dark and kind of black and white with some angular long lines. Looks like some of the 70s cartoon animation styles. Very long, slinky games. I'm seeing platforming. I'm seeing some puzzling. I'm seeing some fighting. If it's an RPG / Metroidvania game, then you're gonna get new abilities. This does feel like one of those LSD trip style games, but not too crazy. It's not like that cartoon Super Jail, but it's a little close to that. I'd say halfway between that and something that a teenager might just draw. Well, in the vein of Cuphead, a game like this might catch people's attention just for looking a little bit different. I imagine we'll start seeing a lot of that, where there's more experimentation of different animation styles, and we see less games that are just always going to be hyper-realistic 3D animations of people, and more games that are going to be 2D depictions with specific artistic visions and styles. And, you know, I wouldn't be upset if we lost like all of the bad animators who try to do anime characters and do them badly. If they went and did their own style and it actually looked good, that'd be nice. And if we lost the bad animators that can't do realistic people, but inherently we're always going to have bad animators making cheap Steam games and that are going to look awful. In general, even the good animators that do the anime style for visual novels, it'd be nice if they went and did their own style too, but that's not going to happen in Japan. Japanese people are too derivative, and they are too consistent in their style. Like, one very famous person might push all of anime in a different direction, but then everybody will just copy that. They won't all go in different directions. Of course, I'm speaking very generally in that instance. There are people that do slightly different things. Let's see. So Fanatical, which used to be called Humble Bundle, apparently is now the
someone injured?
The storefront part. So maybe what they're gonna do is keep the Humble Bundles store part just for the Humble Bundles, and then Fanatical is where you go to buy other games, So it's just gonna be 2 brands? And they're doing a sale, but I don't see any reason to even mention sales. Like, I'm not here to advertise for Fanatical. In a lot of ways, Humble Bundle only was able to maintain its success by having a storefront, by having people sell and buy Steam keys. Because that's almost certainly where a lot of those games that were put on the lower tier to fill it out, so they always had 3 lower tier things in the Humble Bundle. Almost certainly that was because they had a ton of extra keys for that game that didn't sell that well. This is just an article, not worth even mentioning. So we can skip that. Aqua Plus is hiring a 3D designer for a new Utawari Rumono and 2 Heart projects. Yeah. I think I pronounced that right. Utawari Rumono. UTAWARERUMONO. One word. Let's see. 3D CG designer, 3D CG designer for character modeling, character motion, and graphics programming. Since almost certainly this is a Japanese company, you only would need to apply if you're Japanese. And this isn't a full job listing, so there's nothing to really cover here like I've been doing before. Each job consists of using Maya and soft image for character modeling. They also announced that they're making a remake of the original Utawari Rumono and a new action story focused Utawari Rumono games. I kind of want to look at what that game is and see if any of them came to PC. Let's see.
Job's done.
Here's a PC Gamer article saying, are pre-Black Friday games any good? For me, I'm not really expecting to spend any money on Black Friday for video games. But there are some Lego things that I'll either do on Black Friday or Black Cyber Monday whenever it happens, because I'm going to be buying the Legos directly from Lego, and since they're the only people that make Legos that I want, that makes sense. Legos in general don't go on sale, and so any small discount is actually a very high discount. Am I not sending friend requests? Do I have to enter? Yes, I do, don't I? Oh, whoops. What does recruit friends do? Let's see. Your friends get a new thing. Yeah, we did that already on the America side. I suppose I could probably try to do it on the other side too. What else do we need to win as? Priest? We'll try the priest. But in general, the question is, most people can't constantly shop because they're too tempted by deals. But I pretty much do. I always have my eye on slickdeals.net, which I find to be the best source for good deals for most things. There is also the website Camel 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 and PC Part Picker and the tractor that are referenced in this article. The truth is, like, nothing's gonna be super on sale PC wise. Video games, used video games, if you knew you have to buy some for Christmas anyways, you're gonna get your best deal between now and Christmas. But a lot of games would have been a lot cheaper at other times during the year. Computer parts, video cards, and CPUs are not really gonna be on sale right now because they haven't announced any new ones, and they won't do that until like February at least. So the one thing that's important when shopping is probably ignore most pre-Black Friday deals because they're only going to be better. Don't bother to go to a Black Friday store deal because that's insane. Like, it's not worth your time. I don't think there's going to be any major shortages this season. I think you can get a Switch. I think you'll even probably be able to get a what is it?
Time for killing.
Super NES Classic. Probably will be able to buy that. Maybe you should have kept an eye out if you really wanted to get that. NES Classics I think are out of stock right now, but they'll be available probably next year, between next year and next Christmas. But before you do anything else, set your budget. Look at how much money you want to spend and how much money you have, and have that number in your head before you even think about the first thing you want to purchase. Like, as soon as you start seeing something that you want to get for somebody or get for yourself, that's when your budget is going to start getting nudged up higher and higher. And you need that mental barrier. You need that wall saying, no, I'm only going to spend $100 on these gifts at most. And you know you're doing it right when you find something that is $105 and you really want to break your budget and say, yes, I'll make an exception here, but you say, no, I'm going to stick to my budget, I'm going to stay under the amount, even if it's only a penny over. That's when you know you're establishing some mental control and you're not just going crazy. And don't set your budget to equal the amount of credit you have on your credit cards.
What to do?
There is also a level of realistic things. Like, just because you might be rich doesn't mean you should be spending like $10,000 on gifts for other people. You should look at what the average gift is based on your relationship with that person. If you're getting a gift for your boss, probably don't want to get them much more than $20 worth of things. If you're buying gifts for like a office Christmas party, they usually tell you that there's a limit, and the limits may sound ridiculously low, but there's a reason for that, because there is somebody out there that can only afford that much, and that's who the limit is trying to help. Let's see. Is it gonna play? Yes. 1, 2, 3. I could kill all of these, but I don't see a reason to.
I'll give it a shot. Right away.
You might spend $200 to $500. I'd say about might be the average to buy for your significant other if they're the only person in your life, whereas you might only spend $100 to $200 for your significant other if you have 5 kids. You might spend $300 to $400 on kids because, let's face it, toys are expensive, and this is probably the only time in the year besides their birthday that they get any toys. But that's what you might spend on one kid. If you only have one kid, is $200 to $300, whereas if you have 5 kids, you might be spending closer to, on average, $150, maybe only $100 on each kid. And then there's a lot of shared toys and a lot of things that you're just gonna have to average. If you're spending $150 on your kids because you have 5 kids to buy for, you might want to go, what is the average for your nieces and nephews? That probably should be a little bit less than that. You probably don't want to outshine what the parents are buying for their own kid. And if you're a grandparent, do you spend as much on your kids, who would be adults at that point, as you do on the grandkids, and how much? And a lot of that comes right down to the kind of relationships that you have with them, and kind of what you establish. But also you should think about what is average. Like, a lot of people don't get much. There are definitely people that only get like 1 or 2 actual gifts at Christmas, and then there are people that get 30 gifts, thousands of dollars of gifts. And the United States in particular, it's a lot closer to people only getting 1 or 2 gifts. Most people don't have a lot of things as much as they go out to eat a lot, and they go to sporting events, and they go see movies, and the money either isn't there or gets spent somewhere else. I certainly have seen other people's collections and bedrooms, and if you can even call them collections, and it's usually just like one bookshelf that has five things on it, and every single thing is a very important thing to them that has sentimental value, because it's one of the few things that they actually chose to keep and actually have. Whereas me personally, I have too much of everything, so I try to appreciate everything I have, but I have bookshelves upon bookshelves of DVDs and comic books and Legos and video games, and just, I was very lucky to have the opportunity to gain a lot of stuff, and because I had that privilege, I need to personally tell myself not to overspend and fill people's houses with junk. And there is certainly a level of
One shot, one.
Let's see. I got him. Victory. There is also a level when buying gifts. Like, if you're not getting them anything interesting or anything that they actually want to keep, like, regifting is a real thing that happens a lot, because people just don't think about the gifts. There's no thought put in it. It just feels like it's something expected. If you feel like you're expected to get somebody a gift, just get them a gift card. Put a money value on it, because you might as well. Some people see it as rude to give gift cards or cash. Cash is slightly more rude than getting a gift card, even though gift cards are a scam, because anybody who carries cash, which isn't too many people these days, could at the last second get a cash. The trick there is the best way to do that is get a card, like Happy Holidays card, a greeting card, and then put in a nice crisp $20 bill, maybe two $20 bills and a 10 if you're going to give $50. That's the right way to do that. Sign your name to it. Show that you didn't just at the last second with no care or thought do that. And really, you can at the last second go to any grocery store or even most gas stations and get a card for a holiday and give it to somebody. But it shows you put in a little bit of effort and you're not just pulling a 20 out of your wallet and saying, here, take this. I didn't care about you enough to do any more work than that. But yeah, that is pretty much just a long rant on how much you should probably spend and budgeting and all that. Don't be afraid, I would say. Like, it's hard to do this, particularly with young kids. But I would say, don't be afraid to buy gifts for people when you want to buy gifts for people at random occurrences throughout the year. And then not make as much of a big deal about Christmas. It would be a lot nicer and a lot more spontaneous, and it shows that you're actually thinking about people. If the only time you're thinking about a person is Christmas and their birthday, you're a pretty crappy friend / family member. Like, it would be a lot nicer for you to be thinking about them on at least a monthly basis, if not on a weekly basis, if not at least 3 or 4 times a week. Because that's really what all of this comes down to, is yes, it's about giving gifts for a bunch of garbage usually that nobody needs or wants, but it's more, Christmas is more about being with the people that you love and showing that you care about the people you love, and the gift giving element of that gets into the way and changes the narrative in a very capitalistic, greedy way that doesn't really do anything other than cheapen the holiday. Of course, Christmas also is about Christianity and the birth of Christ, but the celebration of that is lighting of Advent candles and going to church sermons and just thoughts. There's no physical actions or purchases built around that. And that's really just more of an argument. If you want Jesus to be the reason of the season for Christmas, then you probably shouldn't give gifts at all. You should probably say, no Santa Claus, no gifts, none of that. We're only going to celebrate the thing that we're focusing on, and I'll get you gifts. You'll get gifts other times throughout the year. And of course, parents are more than willing to use Christmas as an excuse to try to get their kids to quote-unquote behave better throughout the last 3 months of the year, with the whole excuse me, with the whole elf on the shelf and naughty and nice list. Let's see if we can get back to video game news though, because I want to wrap this up. There's a new Planescape game that might be in development by Beamdog. Do we have any footage, or like this is maybe just a speculation? Like, a game, rumors of games being in development really doesn't mean anything in the video game industry particularly, so I would just ignore anything like that. Let's see. We already talked about that article. Let's see. Amazon.com has a text-to-speech tool to automate voice acting. It's been added to the Lumberyard game development engine, which I think Lumberyard is the renaming of the Crysis engine. And so that's very interesting, because if people ever adopted Lumberyard and they were going to make like a visual novel, like that idea of it being voice acted even by a CG voice that's obviously not going to be as good as a regular real voice actor still fixes so many games for me. So I'd like to see that more adopted. The only problem is I don't know of anybody that really is making any games in Lumberyard. It would be a lot nicer if Amazon had released this as an API for Unity or something. Let's see. This is an article that doesn't matter. And it's just talking about a game called My Life in Porsche, which is free on Steam. It's an alpha right now. Here's an article talking about when Nintendo sold its own, like, soft drinks, I believe. Which doesn't have anything to do with anything, because that was a long time ago. Let's see. There's some more details of Atria, Lydia, and Sureli, which we've talked about that game several times, because and the Japanese are good at doing press releases, bad at making release dates. Like, they just keep on putting out more and more details. Wow, this game looks like a puzzle game now. Well, it has some puzzle elements on top of being a 3D RPG game. At this point, I want that game to come out and just be done with it. And let's see. There's a article here about a game called Butterfly Soup, which is a visual novel with well-written LGBT characters. So, like, I don't know, looking at some of this looks like it is preachy and ridiculous. Yeah, maybe I'd check it out, but maybe I'd end up groaning a lot too. Let's see. I think. Oh, here's a picture of a game that I have no name for. You can't really say anything about it. And let me just keep going through all of this news. Yeah, none of this is news. And let's see. Well, at the Humble Bundle now. Is somebody on? Can we spectate? Let's spectate and wrap this up. Let's see. The Humble Strategy Simulator Bundle is the most recent one. There's a Humble Sex and Science one, which is a bunch of comic books. Like, how do you get these if you order these? Are they shipped to you, or are you getting digital versions? Like, like, it's, I bet you just get PDFs from this if you buy comic books. I don't think you would actually get the physical versions, because there was a comic book or two that I wanted to get, but I can't in my mind. Like, his The Darkness Rebirth, which I think is a spin-off of a video game. I can't in my head find a time. Alright, here it is. $366 worth of digital comics. Pay what you want. DRM free. So, like, sure, you can pay $15 and get them in PDF and actually support either the developers or some other people. I guess maybe if you didn't, and if you bought the physical versions already, I guess that would make sense. And see, they've gotten like a new logo, I think, too, a logo system where it says books and comics, or comics bundle, books bundle, books bundle, games bundle. And so there's two games bundle, and they're kind of moving everything together on this. They've changed the website. So there's another books bundle. What format do the books come in, I wonder? Are they in PDF format, or like what's the multi-format? They come in PDF, EPUB, and MOBI files. That's the three you'd want, and you'd want them, particularly in books. Book bundles, you would want them to be formatted correctly and look good. Is this guy gonna lose Valmont? And one of these bundles is start a startup bundle, where it's a bunch of ebooks on starting a business. I probably am not an expert at starting a business, but I would probably recommend, if you want to start a business, do a very little bit of legal research and then just go. Don't read a bunch of books. People that read books are managers that have nothing better to do with their life. So I guess if you were the manager of something right now and you had a bunch of free time, read those books, but otherwise I would say just go start your business. Like, I've started businesses, I just started businesses. That's all there really is to it. There's some tax things that you have to assign and do, but that's kind of it. Somebody is like, request. Here's some spam message. And block that guy. No. Undo. Wow. Trying to find the X on this screen. I'm getting a lot of spammers retweeting me. Like, Twitter is a mess. It is a mess. I wish there was a better service that people actually looked at, but YouTube probably is it. So now I'm back to Twitter though, looking for any more news, and I suspect there probably won't be any. The Open Critic says the embargo has been lifted for Battlefront 2, so we're going to start seeing reviews really quickly. Play Hearthstone is being advertised in movie theaters.
You have best.
Seriously. It'll Do is coming out on the Switch. And let's just leave. Here's an article about VR having a sense of smell eventually. Like, I don't see any reason why anybody would pay any extra amount of money for that. It's a useless feature. I don't want to smell things in video games. And as far as it seems, Twitter has nothing. Let's swap over to the Asian account and just show off what we've got to do in the silent post show. We'll come back and do a watch and learn later, or get that one victory. Like, I can go ahead and get the watch and learn done early because I'm never gonna try to trade out a watch and learn. The end of Is Nigh for Switch is launching December 12th. Let's see if we can trade something here out. Nope, no trade. So destroy 40 minions, play 30 priest cards. And yeah, I guess if there's just any more news, which I don't think there is, I'll talk about it next time, Wednesday. So that's gonna be it for this recording and the live stream. Stay tuned for the post show, silent post show. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. Thanks to everybody that did comment, even if it was just to say hey, that's still very helpful. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.